Okay. Good afternoon, guys. Hope you are all doing well. I'm Akash Vijay from IEEE CS SBT. The IEEE Computer Society of IEEE SB SJCET is so happy to welcome you all to this 3-day training session on programming basics, organized in collaboration with the IEEE SB RSET as a part of Hack the Extreme series. The session is mainly intended for beginners who want to learn programming right from the scratch. So, in your 3 days, we are going to have a completely interactive sessions on programming basics. പ്രോഗ്രാമിംഗ് റിലേറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള നിങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാ ഡൗട്ട്സും ഇഷ്യൂസും ഈ 3 days ഞങ്ങളുമായിട്ട് ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാം ആൻഡ് ടുഗദർ വി വിൽ റിസോൾവ് ദം വെൽ ഐ നോ യു ഗൈസ് ആർ സൂപ്പർ എക്സൈറ്റഡ് സോ വിതൗട്ട് കീപ്പിംഗ് യു ഇൻ മച്ച് വെയിറ്റ് ലെറ്റ്സ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് To welcome our speaker for the session, I invite Ms. Namita Santosh, Secretary CSSBC from IEESB RSET. Over to you, Namita.
Thank you, Akash. Today's session on basics of programming will be handled by Ms. Iron Sunny Tekekara. Iron is in her second year of college at Rajgiri, pursuing BTech in Computer Science and Engineering, and she's also currently serving as the Vice Chair of the Industrial Application Society Student Branch Chapter at IEEE RSET-SB. Iron is very passionate about computers and has won several coding competitions conducted in both college and national level. Iron is always ready to share her knowledge with others and is an excellent mentor. She is one of the tutors for Phoenix 2.0, one of our flagship events, which aims at getting school students interested in STEM. We are very delighted to have her with us today as the speaker. I cordially welcome Iron to take over today's session. Over to you, Iron.
Thank you, Namita. So, in this 3 days, is Malayalam fine with you guys or completely Hispano? Malayalam Maya Korpundo. Any non-Malayalis here? Hello, ഞാൻ പറയുന്നതും കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലേ? Am I not audible?
കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ഉറക്കെ പറയാമോ?
Am I not audible? Am I fine now? Hello.
Iron, എടാ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ഒറ്റയ്ക്ക് സംസാരിക്കാവോ?
One second. Hello. It's okay now?
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. So, Malayalam fine ആണോ എല്ലാവർക്കും? Okay. So, with these 3 days, I'm going to teach you from the basics, that is header files. ഒരു സ്റ്റാക്ക് ക്യൂ വരെ പഠിപ്പിക്കാൻ ഞാൻ നോക്കാം, അത്രയും പറ്റും. സോ നമുക്ക് ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങാം. And if you have any doubts, chat box ഇടാം. You're free to do it, okay? Let's start.
Yeah, sure, let's start.
Okay. One second, let me present. എൻ്റെ PPT കാണാൻ പറ്റുമെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. Is it fine?
കാണാം.
Okay. So, the first thing that we're going to look in C++ language is compiler. C++ ഒരു compiler ഉണ്ട്. We are going to use an online compiler. So, a compiler translates program into machine language in one step. So, what does a compiler do? നമ്മൾ എഴുതുന്ന ഒരു code, the code that we write, any code, like for various programs, there are various codes that is converted into a machine language. A basic C++ program should contain header files. So why do we need header files? Header files are these statements, that is hash include iostream.h or hash include string.h, all are header files. So why do we need header files? Because header files are files in which functions are defined. When we write a program, we don't write every single line. There are statements which is already built in. So to use all those statements, we need the help of header files. Usually, in online compilers, we do not end header files with .h. But when we write a program in a command prompt and all, we have to write the header files ending with .h. So basically a header file I can show you. This is an online compiler. This is JDB. Here the header file is hash include IOStream. Here we do not use .h statement. Also, IOStream is used for using cout and cin statements. Cout and cin. We have written here cout here. This is a cin statement. Cin statements. So this is the main purpose of IOStream. Cout and cin statements are used to programmer. Okay. So hash include. So what is a hash include? Header file name. Here you can fill with any header file. It can be mac.h, it can be iostream.h, it can be konya.h, it can be stdio.h, any header file. This is a syntax. So it's hash include two angular brackets. Inside them you have to write the header file. Now what does hash include means? Hash include instructs a compiler to read and include specified file under current file. So it actually includes, if you write iostream.h or iostream, it includes all the files under that header file. Okay. So it includes and then compiles Machina. If we do not include this header file and then we compile the program, then it shows an error. So to avoid that error, we have to actually write the header file statement. And how do you write the header file statement? It is hash include angular brackets header file. Sometimes you have to write .h. In online compiler, you just have to write iostream. It can be iostream. Sometimes you have to use konya.h, and sometimes you have to use mathematical functions. Like if you have to find the square of a number, there's a function called pow. So if you want to use pow as a built-in function, so if you have to use pow, then we have to actually write the header file or include the header file math.h. So we'll see that in our classes, with maybe today itself. So how do you write a program? The execution of a program, so basic program, whether it be to print hello world, that's a very basic program. We actually start with the main function. So here we can see this is a very basic program. See, we just wrote this program. The basic sense of this program here is to print hello world. So we actually, two things we have to consider. First, we actually included the header file iostream, and then we are writing a program execution starts from main function. This is the main function. So the program execution starts from here. That means within what all we write in between these braces are considered as your code of the program. So your program code starts from here and ends before return 0. So everything in between those braces is considered as your code. So what we wrote here, cout hello world. So there are two statements, cout and cin. What is cout statement? Cout statement is used to print anything, or you have to display anything to the output screen, or you need an output of an arithmetic operation. You use cout. So what is cout? Anything that you want to display in your screen is known as cout. Here, cout inserts stream of characters onto the screen. So anything that you want to display, it can be the result of an arithmetic operation. It can be simple, a hello world, or my name is so and so. You need to print anything, you have to use cout statement. So here we have the syntax of cout. It is cout. You have to use two angular brackets, and then if you want to print anything, you have to put it in between two double quotes. I'll explain with an example. That is, here we wrote cout hello world. Since the hello world is within a double quotes, I'm sure, see, it's within a double quotes. You write cout, two angular brackets, a double quote, and hello world. You get, when you run the program, you get the output as hello world. So let's go for another thing where I'm going to print cout 5. Let's see what happens. I get the output 5 itself. So let's print 5 plus 4. Let's see what it happens. I got 9. What is 9? It actually is the sum of 5 plus 4. So I did not put the double quotes here. So without putting the double quotes, what happened is the 5 plus 4, the addition is automatically taken place and the output, that is a result of the addition, that sum is printed as 9. For example, if I put this in a double quote, that is here, will the addition take place? Let's see. No, the addition did not take place. It's because anything that you put in an output statement, that is in a cout statement, after the angular braces, that is these, if you write anything inside a double quote, the exact thing is copied to the output screen. Here, if I actually write, I am iron, the exact same thing is copied to the output screen. This is the output screen, the exact thing is copied. But if I do not put the double quotes and if I do any operations, it can be addition operation or it can be 10 divided by 2. I get the answer for it. See, I got 5. So that is the first thing. So what did we study now? We studied the main thing for a program is the header files. We did hash include statement. What is a hash include statement? It actually tells a compiler that all these functions which is stored under this header file is going to be used in the program. So do not show error. For example, if I do not use this hash include statement and I write cout statement, let's see what happens. See, it shows an error, that is cout was not declared in the scope. This is because I did not include the header file. So if I include the header file, the error is gone. See, I got the output. So that is the first thing we're going to do. So the C language was developed by Johnny Sauerstrup in AT&T Bell Laboratories. So character set of a C++ language. What does a character set means? It means actually all the valid characters that can be used in the C++ language is known as a character set. So it is basically alphabets from A to Z, small letter A to Z, digits from 0 to 9, special symbols. It can be subtraction, addition, division, all that, equal to, etc. That blank space, horizontal tab, new line, etc. So what all is a character text? Basically, what is a character set? It is all the valid characters that can be used in a C++ language. It includes A to Z, small letter A to Z, digits, special symbols, blank space, horizontal tab, etc. Now, if we write a code as A, Z, we write codes in what? In normal English. We use a bit of normal English, right? So if we write capital A or capitals, does the computer recognize it? No. In C++, these characters, that is A to Z or small letter A to Z, the C++ characters case sensitive. That is, capital A and small letter A are two different things. So in C++, all these values are stored as integers. Now, how it is stored as integers? There is a system called as American Standard Code for Information Interchange. That is, each character, if that is whether it is capital A or small letter A, it has a corresponding numerical value called as ASCII value. Now, what is ASCII value? It is the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So, if we consider capital A to Z, capital A has value 65 and capital Z has value 90. Small a has value 97 and small z has value 122. 0 has value 48 and 9. The digit 0 has value 48 and 9 has value 57. So this is actually kind of important, the ASCII code. That is, all characters are stored in the memory as integers. It is not stored as A or B. It is stored as integers. And these integers, where did we get these integers from? That these integers are known as ASCII value. That is, every character has a corresponding integer numerical value. Now, for capital A, it is 65, capital Z, it is 90, small letter A, it is 97, and small letter Z is 122. 0 to 9, that is from 40 to 57. Now, that is what I said earlier. It is case sensitive because capital A represents 65 and 97 is represented by small letter A. So, if you type capital A and small letter A, they are two different things in this language. Next, now we are talking about header files. Header files are files in which functions are defined. So why should we use? This is a syntax of header file, that is hash include header file. that is in between that angular bracket, you can write any number of header files. Actually, there is Konya.h, iostream.h, mat.h, string.h, stdlib.h. There are plenty of header files. And under these header files, there are many functions which are very useful for us to write a program in more easier way. Now, hash include, why do we have to write hash include? Because it instructs a compiler to read and include that particular file name, that is the header file name in the program. Now, main is where the function or the program starts, where the code actually starts to work. And it is always the code we write is always written between a starting braces. This is starting braces and an ending closing braces. So it is always the code what we have to write is always written as statements in between the starting and closing braces. Now we already saw the output of hello world written in the screen, and then I told you about the quotes. So anything that we write in between this double quotes, it's exactly printed to the output screen. And if I did not write this double quotes, then if I do a sum, if I do an addition, the sum gets printed. If I do a multiplication, the product gets printed, so and so. So most statements in C++ ends with a semicolon. That is a very important thing. That is, if we in a C++ language, every single statement that we write should end with the semicolon, except for very few statements. It can be functions that is int main. Here we do not put a semicolon, or hash include statement. We do not put a semicolon. But most of the statements which we write inside the opening and closing braces should end with the semicolon, except for functions or if statements, for statements, looping statements. There are few exceptions which will we see. Other than that, almost all statements we have to end with a semicolon. For example, if I did not put the semicolon for cout here, it actually shows an error. See, it shows an error because it has to end. That is a syntax. Syntax of the language is the structure or how the language should be. So this ending with a terminating with a semicolon is actually a structure of the language. So this is how we print the hello world program. Now I'm going to teach you how to take input to the computer or input from the user. So the statement use cin. So cin is used to receive the input and cout is used to print the output. So cin, the syntax for cin is cin. Use angular braces. So this is for cout, we use the opposite angular braces. So cin we use what? In simple terms, cin we use the greater than sign, and for cout we use the lesser than sign. So 2 greater than sign is a basic thing. 2 greater than sign. For cout we use 2 lesser than sign. For cin, if I write cin a, what is a here? A is a variable. So we have to declare a variable now. So what are variables? Let's see. So variables are values that they store value. The main thing what variable do is they store a value. So if I actually ask the computer to enter a name, so it has to take an input. It has to take an input as a name. So where is this name stored? This name is stored in a variable. The variable can be of any data type. So let's see what data type is. So how many data types do we have? So the fundamental data types are character. Character data type is used to store. It can be anything. It can be 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C, D, and it can store anything. So character data type actually takes 1 byte. It can store 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C, anything. Float is used to store decimal values. Integers to store numerical values. It usually takes 2 bytes. Float takes 4 bytes. Double also used to store decimal values, but it takes 8 bytes. So, for example, if I write int actually notes as int means what? It is a data type. So, if I write int a is a variable. So, what does int a means? Int a semicolon means I'm declaring a variable a of integer type. And it actually tells that a is a variable of integer type and it can store numerical values. That means a can store a value 5 or a can store a value 10. Because why? Because A is an integer data type. That is what we wrote, int A. So for example, if I write int B is equal to 0.4, this will show an error. Why does this show an error? Because B is an integer variable and it can only store numerical value. It cannot store decimal value. So how do I store decimal values? Then I have to change the data type to float. The float B is equal to 0.4 means float B is a floating point variable and it can store a decimal value, and that is 0.4. Now, if I have to store a character C. So character C can store any variable. It can be any characters enclosed in single quotes. So before I showed you what double quotes is. This is double quotes, right? Character means I can store any letter that is enclosed in single quotes. So if I store 1, that means C is equal to 1. 1 is a character. Here I can store A also. So any letter, so any character, it should be enclosed in a single quotes, can be stored in C because C has a data type of character type. So int data type means you can store numerical values. Float data type, you can store floating point values. Character data type means that variable, the variable that you declared as character type, can store any element or any characters enclosed in single quotes. This can also be a star symbol. It can be anything. The key is it has to be enclosed in single quotes. Now, what are the rules for declaring a variable? It should not start with a digit. That is int A, int B is all fine. I can actually declare int A, int B. But I cannot declare a variable as starting with a digit. That is int 1A. I cannot declare a variable int 1A. But I can declare a variable A1. That is fine. So it should not start with a digit. That is A1 is permitted, but 1A is not valid. Should not be a keyword. Means keywords are words that contain special meaning to the language compiler. For example, if I actually declare, I told you earlier, it's from main function is where the program starts, right? When we write a program, we have to write main and then we actually open a braces, and inside the braces we write the code. So if I declare a variable at the same name as main, is it possible? No. Also, there are other keywords like int is a keyword because it actually stands for the int data type, right? So if I declare a variable with int itself, it is not possible because int actually has particular value or it has a particular meaning. Int states that it is a data type, and if we declare a variable with int data type, it actually stores numerical value. So I cannot name a variable as int because int has already another meaning. Like that, there are many keywords. Few examples of keywords are, keywords in simple terms are, they actually contain a special meaning. Keywords are words which have a special meaning. So we cannot use these words in just in a simple program. Like if we use these words in a program, it always will actually mean its special meaning. So the compiler will, okay, this word has this meaning. So it will be never taken as a variable. For example, if is a keyword. If else is a keyword. Break is a keyword. So I cannot, break is a keyword, int is a keyword, float is a keyword, for is a keyword. So these are all keywords. I'll show you an example. Here, these are all the keywords. So auto, bool, break, case, character, class, constant. These are, there is a list of the keywords. These are some of the keywords. So I cannot use these keywords by declaring a variable because if I do, these keywords have a special meaning. The compiler is going to know these special meaning and going to do the program according to that. So that will lead to an error. We can never use variables as keywords as variables. That is the second rule. Now, the only permitted character is underscore. That is when we write a variable name. So it can be any variable name can be example of a variable name. I can write variable name as int name. Okay, that is correct. Now, if I want to write another variable in surname, okay, that is also correct. In sir underscore name, that is correct because underscore is a valid character. It is a valid character that we can use while declaring variables. But if I write in sir space name, it is wrong. It shows an error because space is not a valid character while underscore is. It is case sensitive. So what is case sensitive means that I can have an variable in capital A and in small letter a in the same program, and both capital A and small a points to different values. It can be of any length. That is what I showed here. It can be name, it can be surname, it can also be sir middle name. It can be of any length, it is fine. But the most important thing that we should note while writing variables is that make it, if we are actually writing a variable to accept the name of the person, name the variable as itself as name. If you're doing this addition of two numbers and you're supposed to store the result in a variable, let the variable name be sum. So we always use variables with reference to the program. So when we read through the program, we can understand better. Next, we're going to learn what we're going to learn is operators. So binary operators need to operands to operate. The operators as well as operands. What is operand? Let's see what operand is. So this is an arithmetical. C is equal to A plus B is an arithmetical expression where the sum of A and B is added and it is stored in C. That is what this statement is. So we want to find the sum of two statements. If I tell you to add 5 and 6, what do we write? We write 5 plus 6. Where plus or the addition symbol, plus is the operator. And 5 and 6. Here 5 and 6 are the operands and plus is the operator. So binary operators means they need two operands to perform the action. Now the first one is arithmetic operators, that can be sum, that can be difference, product, division, remainder. So what is remainder? That is, if I write 49 divide division symbol by 7, what is the answer is going to be? 7. That is, the division process of 49 divided by 7 is 7. But what if I want 17 divided by 2? The answer is going to be 8.5, right? But what I am only asking the division part. I'm only asking for the division part. So 17 point, I'm only asking for the integer part. So it's going to show 8 because integer part means what? The whole numbers only, no decimal points. So if I actually 17 divided by 2, if I ask for the integer part, I'll get 8. Now I don't want the division answer. What I want is a percentage. That is, I want to find the remainder. When I divide 17 by 2, I want the remainder. So if we use the percentage or mod, this is known as mod, I get the answer as 1. So sum is addition, difference is subtraction. These are the symbols that we're going to use. For product, we use asterisk. For product, we use asterisk. That is a simple. For division, it is backward slash. And for remainder, it is mod symbol, the percentage symbol, the mod. Now, 100 divided by 5 is what? It is 20. 100 percentage 5 is 0. 4 divided by 6. What is 4 divided by 6? That is a smaller number divided by a larger number. We get the answer as 0. On the other hand, 4 mod 6. That is, when we divide 4 by 6, what is the remainder? It's 4 itself, right? So the simple thing we have to notice, when we divide a small number with a large number, the division answer, the quotient we get is 0. And when we find the remainder, of a small number, remainder with a large number, that when we find the remainder of a small number divided by a large number, and when we find the remainder, it is the small number itself. That is what I have shown here. 4 divided by 6, 4 is a small number. So the quotient is 0, and then when we find the remainder, it's 4 itself. The simple logic. Next, we have relational operators. So first type of operators are arithmetic operators, that is basic addition, subtraction, division, that is quotient, as well as finding the remainder. Next is the relational operators. That is when in computer program we have to compare. There is a lesser than. In math we used to compare. We actually compare 5 greater than or equal to 6 or 5 greater than or equal to 4. All those comparison is done by relation operators. So here in relation operators, the result is either 1 or 0. 1 stands the case is true and 0 stands for the case is false. So if we take an example, so this means this is what? Lesser than symbol. We have a greater than symbol. We have a less than or equal to symbol. We have a greater than or equal to symbol. Then we have an equal to symbol. That is, if we're checking if two numbers are the same, we write 5 equal to 5 or A equal to B. So for equal to statement or checking if two numbers are the same, the sign we use is double equal to. And then we have the not equal to sign. So let's write a program here. Okay, so write int A is equal to 10, comma, B is equal to 5. So here what I did is I wrote A as an of integer data type. So A is a variable of integer data type and I assigned it. So if I write this much, okay, this is called a declaration of a variable. So int A semicolon, what I did is I'm declaring a variable of integer type. That is called declaration of a variable. Now if I give it some value, that is if I'm giving A as 10, so I'm assigning A to a value 10, right? I'm giving A as a value. So now A has a value 10. So this statement now int A is equal to 10 is known as initialization because I have assigned A to a value. Now if I want to declare another variable B, what of integer say? So if I want to declare another variable B of integer type, I just have to put a comma and then B is equal to 5. Now, if I want to declare another variable C of integer type same, I can write C. And if it's not necessary that I have to give value to C, I can just end the statement with a semicolon. So I'm actually using two variables now. Now I'm actually comparing. We have to check first operation is we're checking A greater than B. So let's see. Cout. Cout statement is written as Cout is used for printing or displaying into the display screen. It is written as Cout less than symbol. So two less than symbol or two angular brackets. Cout A less than B or A greater than B. Let's run the program. Sorry. 1 second. You can take another variable C. C is equal to A greater than B. So now C actually stores C is also of integer type. C stores the result of A greater than B. So it is going to be Cout C. Its answer is 1. Why is the answer 1? Because A is greater than B. So if I actually change the sign to less than, so if I am asking whether 10 is less than or 5, this 10 less than 5, that is false, right? So the answer should be 0. We'll get the answer as 0. So if the answer is true, so relational operator results in either true or false. If the answer is true, the output is 1. If the answer is false, the output is 0. So here we have A is greater than or equal to B. That is, here the example is A is equal to 10 and 14. We get A is equal to greater than or equal to B as 0. A is equal to less than or equal to B. That is, 10 is less than or equal to 14. So here A less than or equal to B condition is true. So you get answer as 1. Now if A equal to B, we are checking if A and B corresponds or has the same value, which is wrong. A not equal to B. This is not equal sign. A not equal to B, that is correct, because what? A's value is 10 and B's value is 14. So A is not equal to B. We get the answer as true, that is 1. Next is logical operators. Logical operators, it gives a result 1 or 0 also. We have 3 logical operators, that is and, or, and not. This is how we represent a logical and. This is how we represent a logical or and a logical not. So if we have two statements, that is, for example, A greater than B, A less than B. Now, if we want the answer of these two statements, that is, two relation operation is happening, that is, one is A greater than B and one is A less than B. Now, we want the answer of this to be 1. When will the answer, that is, under each condition, the answers changes with respect to and, or, not. So, and, or, not is used when we have to combine two conditions. So, the and operator gives result 1 if both the condition is 1. That is, if I write that here in the same example, for example, if the operation I'm writing int A is equal to 10, comma, B is equal to 5. Now, if I write A greater than B and A less than B, this condition is actually true, right? A less than B and B less than A. So here there are two conditions. The first condition is A greater than B and the second condition is B less than A. So when we check 10 is greater than 5, I'm substituting the value of A and B. 10 is greater than 5, so that condition is true. The next condition is 5 is less than 10, that is also true. So in this case, the answer will be the result or the output is equal to 1, will be 1. So AND operation or logical AND operation gives 1 or gives the result as 1 if both the conditions are true. That is, condition 1 is A greater than B and condition 2 is B less than A. Now for OR case, when we use OR case, so here in AND, if one of the condition is false, the answer is false. That is, if I write A equal to B, that means here A greater than B, the result is 1. A equal to B, the result is 0 because A is not equal to B. Then the output will be 0. So for logical AND to be true or the logical AND result to be 1, both the condition has to be 1. Then when we use logical OR, any of the condition should be true. That is, any of the condition should give the result 1. For example, here when I wrote, if I change this AND symbol with OR symbol, this is the OR symbol, the output changes to 1 because OR is used and OR gives the result 1 if any of the condition is 1. And gives the result 1 if both the conditions are true or both the condition results in 1, or gives the result as 1 when any of the condition result in 1. And not means gives the result 1 if the condition is 0 and vice versa. That means here, this is how I use a not symbol. Okay. Usually when we check the output of A greater than B or A is equal to B or simple statement, A greater than B. A greater than B output is what? 10 is greater than 5, the output is 1, right? But since we have a not symbol in front of the full expression, we actually have to reverse the output. That if the output is 1, when we put not statement, we get the opposite of it as 0. How did we get 0? First, we have to check the expression. That is A greater than B. A is greater than B. It is true, so the answer is 1. But then we have what? A not symbol. a not symbol reverses the output. So if it is 1, we get the output as 0. That is logical operation. Now we have, these are some examples. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 2, and C is equal to 30. So first we check 10 greater than or equal to 2 or 12 greater than 30. Here 10 greater than 12 is actually false and 12 less than 30 is 2. So here we get the answer 0 or 1. So for our condition to give the answer as 1, only one of the condition has to be true. So here we got 0 or 1. Since we have 1 in one of the conditions, we get the answer as 1. But in AND case, A greater than B and B less than D, we get 0 and 1. The answer will be 0 because for a logical AND expression, to give the result as 1, we need both the statements or both the condition to be true or both the condition individually giving results as 1. Here we have a 0 and 1. So it's always 0. For example, if the result of an expression is 0 and 1, the output, that is output, will be equal to 0. Now if it's 1 and 0 for an expression, the output will be equal to 0. The only case when 1 and operator gives 1 is this one. Both the condition has to be 1. In OR it is 0 or 1. Answer is 1. 1 or 0, the answer is 1. 0 or 0, the answer is 0. So in OR case, if any of the one condition is true, then the answer is 1. Next is assignment operator. So I told, when I wrote int a semicolon, it is a declaration, and int a is equal to 10, then here we are assigning the value of a as 10. So equal to, a single equal to is known as assignment operator. This is known as an assignment operator. So we have to assign, and if you take a variable x and I want to give x as value as 10, how do you write? X is equal to 10. So that means what? X has a value 10, or x is assigned the value 10. Always in assignment operators, the value gets copied from right side to the left side. So here x is equal to 10 means the value 10 is copied to the variable x. You cannot write 10 is equal to x. This is a syntaxically wrong statement. This is a completely wrong statement and it shows error because x is a variable. You cannot copy a variable to a value. What you have to write is x is equal to 10 because the value 10 on the right side is copied to the variable on the left side. Now, what is the difference between a double equal to and a single equal to? I told in relational operators, a double equal to is used to check if both the variables point to the same thing. So double equal to means we're checking if two things points or two variables, or it can be a two different elements points to the same value or not. But a single equal to is for assigning. That is what we told earlier. X is equal to 10. So y is equal to 9. That is a double equal to. It actually checks if y as value 9. And this operation or this statement results in actually either y's value being 0 or y's value, or result will be either 0 or 1. So here a is equal to 10. Okay, a is equal to 10. So I'm gonna write c is equal to 5. Okay, and now I'm writing c out. C. Let's see, here c is equal to 5. See, I got the value of c. Here what happens is the c is assigned to be the value of 5. But if I write y double equal to 9, what I get is, we check if value of y is actually equal to 9. So double equal to means checking condition, and y equal to 9 means when one single equal to is assignment and double equal to is checking. When we use double equal to, the answer results either in 0 or 1. Now there are shorthand operators. For example, instead of writing, how do you write sum is equal to a plus b? So this is how we find the sum of two numbers. A and B are two numbers. B is equal to 5. Sum. Yes, sum is equal to A plus B. Here, we are actually writing A and B are two numbers, 10 and 5. So A and B are two numbers. We declare to store two numbers, we declare two variables A and B. We initialize the value 10 and 5 to it. And then we have sum. S variable, a variable S. S actually stores the sum of it. So sum is equal to A plus B. I am actually printing sum is. So anything that I print in between the double quotes gets exactly printed. Sum is S. Let's see what the output comes. We get sum is 50. What is the logic? How to find the sum of two numbers? We need to find the sum of two numbers. So we need two variables to store those sum. That is A and that is B. So A and B are the two numbers. I initialized them with value 10 and 5. And then I took another variable S to store the sum. So here I actually gave the value. While writing the code itself, I gave the value. So what if I want to give the value from the user? That is, while executing the program, I want to give the value. So I'll write another cout statement. That is, I told before, cout statements are used to print the statements to the screen. So cout, what is slashing? So slashing is an escape sequence character. I'll get back onto it. Enter two numbers. Okay. Then I'm gonna write cin. How does cin statement work? Cin greater than symbol A, greater than symbol B. Now I'll run this program and show. So the computer is asking enter two numbers. So I have to, from my keyboard, I'm entering two numbers, 5, 6. Now when I press enter, the next sentence or the next line in the code is getting executed, and the sum is calculated, and the output is 11. Now, when I typed 5 and 6, the 5 value goes to A and the 6 value goes to B. The order is very important. So first value goes to C in the first variable, and the next value goes to C in the next variable. So it is not necessary for me to write C in A and then C in B in two different lines. It is not necessary. I can actually club it in one line. Every time you have to read a statement or read a variable or value from the user, you have to write two angular brackets and then the variable name. So if I have to read three numbers, so if I have to read three numbers, sum of three numbers, the program is to find the sum of three numbers, then I need three variables to store the numbers, that is A, B, and C. So I'm going to input how many numbers? Three numbers. So I'm going to ask the user to input values of three numbers. So I have to write cin greater than symbol A, greater than symbol B, 2 greater than symbol C, and then in sum I have to add plus C. When I run the program, and the three numbers 3, 4, 5, I get sum as 12. Now, if I'm going to show another operation, we entered three numbers and we're going to print what those numbers are. So that is A, B, also I'm going to print with a space in between them. So I'm going to leave a space. So this means a space is left between them. So here I am actually in the output screen A gets printed with a space between them, B gets printed with a space between them, and C gets printed. And then I am gonna increase the value of A. A is equal to A plus 5. And then I'm gonna print C out A. Okay. So what are we doing in this program? We're gonna enter 3 numbers, that is A, B, C. We're gonna print those numbers. So to print the number to a display screen, we write cout statement. And then I'm gonna increase the value of A, and that means I'm adding 5 to the value of A. So to existing value of A, I'm adding 5 to it. Then I'm actually printing out the value of A. Let's run the program. So it's 5, 6, 8. Here A has value 5, B has value 6, and C has value 8. And then I'm printing the value 5, 6, 8, and then 10 gets printed. So what is this 10? This 10 is actually the result of cout A statement, that is A plus 5. Now, if I want the cout statement, here we saw this actually gets printed on the same line, right? 5, 6, 8, and then 10. But what if I want the 10 in the new line? So how I'm going to do that? I'm going to actually write, in a double quote, I'm going to write cout in a double quote, I'm going to write new line. This is /n. So what does /n mean? /n means a new line. So it actually tells the computer, the compiler, so when a /n is approached, the compiler automatically moves to a new line. So let's see what happens. See, 4, I use the same numbers, 5, 6, and 8. See, the output is printed 5, 6, and 8, and then an addition process is done, and the output is of A. Cout A statement is printed in a new line. Why? Because we used a /n statement. Now there are more like /n statements. Yeah, these /n statements are known as escape sequence or non-graphic characters. So what is non-graphic characters or escape sequence? That is, we actually write statements like /n. So I told anything we write between these double quotes are exactly printed in the output, right? If I write /n1, and I'm going to delete this program. If I write /n1, what gets printed? No, let's write 1 first. Okay. If I write cout1, 1 gets printed. But if I write cout /n and then a 1, still what gets printed? Only 1 gets printed, and 1 is printed in a new line. So these statements are known as escape sequence or non-graphic characters. That is, even though we write it in a double quotes, that /n does not get printed. There are /n used for new line, /t for tab space, a single quote, / a double quote. So statements starting with / followed by n or a t or a single quote or a double quote doesn't get printed. So let's do this. 2 /n1. Let's see what the output will come. We get 2 in a new line, we get 1. Because what /n is a non-graphic character, it does not get printed, but it has another meaning to the compiler. What is another meaning? That is to print a new line. That is 1. It actually tells the compiler to print 1 in a new line. So let's see what we put /t. We get 2 and then we leave 4 spaces. A tab space is left and then 1 is printed. That is about escape sequence or non-graphic characters. The main thing that we have to be sure or we have to know for the extreme coding competition is the use of /n. So why do we use /n? We use /n to actually print the output statement in a new line. So that is the use of /n, and that /n is known as an escape sequence or non-graphic characters. Now we are known as shorthand operators. So what is shorthand operator? So in the example before, I showed you x is equal to x plus 5. That means there is a variable x and the value of x is being increased by 5. Now it can be written as x plus is equal to 5. That means the operation can be written in a shorthand form as x plus is equal to 5. For example, y is equal to y minus 9 can be written as y minus is equal to 9. It can be acceptable for product term, division, or finding the remainder. All these can be written as shorthand methods. Now, I showed you how to find the sum of two numbers. The next program is to find the area and perimeter of the circle. This program is to find the area and perimeter of the circle. Here we're going to learn about a variable known as constant variable. So all these variables, int a is equal to a, b, c, all these variables can take any value. Like I can assign its value be 10. If I assign the value of a is equal to 10 here, and then in the next step, I can increase the value of a is equal to be 5. So what does a plus is equal to 5 statement means? It means a is equal to a plus 5. So I'm increasing the value of 5 here. But there are statements or there are variables whose value I do not want to change in the program. For example, to find the area of a circle, the question is here to find the area and perimeter of the circle. We are actually declaring three variables. One variable is to input the radius, then to find the area and perimeter. Because to find the area or perimeter of a circle, we only need the value of radius, right? So on or in a radius case, when we find the area of the circle, it is always in decimal values. So we use a data type flow. So R, A, comma P. Now I'm asking the user to enter. I'm writing a new line statement because I want to print it in a new line. Cout slash n, what is it? Enter the radius. So the user is gonna enter the radius and I'm gonna store the radius in R. So that is C in R. Then if I have to calculate A is equal to what? 3.14 star R star R. Sorry, R. That is 3.14 into R square. That is pi R square, right? Now, this 3.14 is what? A constant value, right? So instead of writing 3.14, I can declare it as a constant variable. That is what we do here. You can see const float pi is equal to 3.14. What I'm doing is I'm declaring the 3.14 as a constant variable. Because sometimes if I write a small error, if I write 3.15 or in next program, if I write 3.144, the output changes and it shows error. So what I'm going to do is constant float. This is how you declare a constant variable. It is normal float pi is equal to 3.14. So in front of this statement, I put a constant. So what does const this const is a keyword and it means what? The variable pi whose value is 3.14 is fixed. It's a constant and that value cannot be changed. So here instead I can write pi star. Also I can calculate perimeter is equal to 2 pi r. Then I can write cout area is a semicolon area is a. So here we are not this a is not in double quote. So what happens? That a value gets changed with the result that is being calculated here. Here we do not print a. What we print, the value stored in a, that is the result of the area gets printed. And we are printing the perimeter. enter the radius, if I enter the radius 4. See, I got area is 50.24 and perimeter is 25.12. Why did I get perimeter in the blue line? Because I actually wrote a slash and statement. Here, since A is not in double quotes, we get the value calculated or the value stored in A, and not the variable A gets printed. The value stored in A gets printed. Why? Because A is not in double quotes. Anyone has any doubts still here? Any doubts? Okay. Now, in the area program, what we did was, it is actually, what is the formula of area? It is pi r square, right? But what I showed was pi r into r. Instead of that, we can actually write a statement known as pow. Pow is actually a function which actually allows you to square a number or find the fourth power of the number or find the cube root of the number. Everything is possible with the function pow. Now, the pow is an inbuilt function. So as I told before, there are many header files. So pow comes under the header file as math.h. Now, if I have to use pow in my program, that is to find the square root of a number, sorry, not square root, square of a number or a cube of a number or fourth power of a number, it is very easy for me to write pow instead of writing. For example, I have to find the square of 2. Instead of writing 2 into 2, I can just write pow function. This is actually known as function bracket. This is known as function bracket. And inside this, I can write 2 comma 2. So this actually gives me the answer 4. That is 2 raised to 2. The answer is 4. Now, if I write pow 2 comma 3, what is? It means 2 raised to the power 3. The first variable is a base, and the second variable or the second number will be the exponent. So it is 2 raised to 3, and the answer will be 8. For example, it continues. So if I want pow of 4 comma 6, it's shown here. It gives 4 raised to 6. Power of 8 comma 2 gives what? A raised to 2. So what does pow function do? It actually makes a program more easier. Instead of writing 4 raised to 6, if we do not have a pow function, we should have written 4 into 4 into 4 into 6 times. So it makes the code much easier. So in this program, if I have to use pow statement, that is, I can write here pow r comma 2 because it is r square. So here then I have to include, I told pow belongs to the header file math.h. Math.h, therefore I have to include that header file. Why should we include the header file? Otherwise we cannot use the inbuilt function pow. So hash include math. Here, since we are using an online compiler, .h statement is not that necessary. So we can run the same program. Running the same program. And at the radius, I think I did was 4 last time. See, we get the same answer. So pow made it more easy. Instead of writing r square r, it was more easier to write pow 4 comma 6 or pow r comma 2. This mathematical function is defined in math.h, hence it has to be included. These are examples where a square of a number is found. Square of a is found. Square of cube root of a is found. And the fourth power of a is found. Next, a program to swap two numbers. This is actually an important logic in reference to extreme. How to swap two numbers? That is, integer value of a, int a, is equal to 10, and b is equal to 20. Okay, I want to swap. So if I output cout A, cout B, the value will be 10 and 20. But I want to change the value of AZ as 20 and B as 10. How I'm going to swap two numbers. That is, I'm going to swap the values of A and B. For this, I'm taking another variable. T is actually a temporary variable temp. So I'm taking a temporary variable temp, the same data type. One thing is important. When you take variables and when you do operations with these variables, it's always important to know that they are all of the same data type. That is, if I take int a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20, and if I take a temp variable of character data type, then it shows an error. It has to be of integer data type itself. Then, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assign the temp variable as b. So now, both temp variable and the b variable has value 20, right? Then, I'm going to give b's value as a. So what does this statement mean? So temp gets a value b. So the value of b, that is 20, is passed to temp. And then b's value is erased and changed to 10. So we changed the value of b, right? So we actually swapped the value of b. So b has what value now? 10. The next statement, I am going to write a is equal to 10. So what did we get? So first, when we wrote temp is equal to b, the value of b, that is 20, is passed to the temp variable. And then b is equal to a. Since already there are two copies of b, right? Temp has value 20 and b has value 20. I am changing the b's value to 10. Now, there are two copies of 10, right? Both b and a has value 10. So final step is what? I'm copying the value of a. I'm copying the value of temp to a. Any doubts? How this is done? Any doubts? Okay. This is actually very simple. What we do is we take another variable temp and then we copy the value of b to it. And then we change the value of b and we store the value of a to b. That is, which in this step, the value of temp, these what I'm writing right now is known as comments. Okay. These comments do not get printed or is not read by the compiler. So any statements written after two backslash is known as a comment, and the statement is written after a backslash and the asterisk sign is a multi-line comment. So a single line comment is two backslash and it is not even read by the compiler, and a multi-line comment is written as backslash asterisk and it ends with an asterisk backslash. Okay, and comments are used to increase the readability of the program. It is not necessary to use comments. It is just used to increase the readability of the program. It is not read by the compiler and it is not even output or displayed in the output screen. So in this statement, that is in the 16th line, when I write temp is equal to b, both temp variable and b variable has value 20. Okay. And then when I write b is equal to a, that means both b and a has value what? 10. Now, when I write a is equal to 10 statement, what happens is the value of a is copied. A now has value 20. So this is how we swapped two numbers. So here, if I input cout a, I'm providing a space, or let's do /t. Sorry, /t. Now put cout value after swap. Let's run. See, The value before swapping was 10 and 20. Value after swapping was 20 and 10. So this is actually one logic which might be useful in X-ray. The next is operators like A++ and A minus minus. So operators like A++ and A minus minus means, for example, okay, if I write A++, what does it mean? It means A is added. So the value of 1 is added to A. So A++ statement means to the value of A, that is to the value of 10, you add 1. So since here the addition operation, that is plus plus, is after the variable A, it is placed after the variable A, it is known as post increment. Since it is addition, it is known as post increment. And if it is subtraction, that is A minus minus, it is known as post decrement. Now there is an important thing that you have to know about post increment, that is, if we write A, C out A plus plus, what happens? C out A. The value of A is here, A is equal to 10. We encounter in A++ statements. Then the C out value of A we print. What happens? We actually add 1 to the value, right? We can run, we'll run and we'll see the output as 11. See, we got the output as 11. But if I actually do this in the C out statement, what happens? Let's see. That is C out A++. What happens? What do you think should happen? You all might say the same operation must happen. That is, the value should be printed. The value that's going to be printed is 11 itself. But no, the value is 10. Why? When we use post, or there are two types of operators, post and pre. Post is A++ and pre is plus plus A. This is pre-increment or pre-decrement. That is plus plus A is pre, because the operator is placed before the operand, and here it is placed after the operand. Since we are dealing with post, the value is printed. That is, what is the value of A? What is the value of A? The current value of A is printed, and then if the next step, if we add C out A, adding a space, C out A, what happens? Here, what happens is, in post operators, the current value first we encounter. Basic thing. We are reading the statement as C out A. First, what we encounter is A, right? So what gets printed? The value of A gets printed. And then it is updated. Then we actually encounter the plus plus operator or the addition operator, and then it is changed. This only happens if we write a post or a pre-increment operator along with the C out statement. So here what has happened is we get the value 10 and 11. We get the value 10 and 11. Is this clear? This concept is a bit tricky. Is this clear? Any doubts? This change only happens, that is, we actually use the value and then update the value in post case only when it comes alongside with the C out statement. So it is post increment or decrement. That means it adds or subtracts 1 from its operand. Here we print or use the existing value, then change the value. As I show, C out A++, we actually use the value of A. We printed or displayed the value of A, and then we actually added 1, right? That is post. What do we use for post? We use the value first. Why do we use the value first? Because we encounter the variable first. That is A++, we encounter the variable first, and then we actually encounter the operator. So we use the value and then we do the updation. But in case of pre, that is plus plus A. Let's see what change it brings. Here we get the answer as 11. Why did we get the answer as 11? Plus plus A is a pre-increment operator. What happens here is, First, we encounter the operator. So it does the operation and then it displays. So that is the difference between post operator and pre operator. In pre operator, that is plus plus a, we first encounter the operator and hence we do the operation and then we display the result. But in post increment operator, first we encounter the variable or the operand. Hence, we actually display the operand and then we do the updation. Is this clear? Okay. This is an example where we do. Here, x plus plus, we get what? 5 gets printed. Plus plus, actually here, let's try this program. Okay. What happens here is even though the value of here, first say out statement x plus plus. So what is the output? Output is get printed as 5. But from the 5, the value is changed to 6, right? Because x plus plus is a post increment operator. It actually uses the value and then we update the value. So here x plus plus, we get value 5 and then the value of x is changed to 6 or updated to 6. And then next, cout plus plus x. Cout plus plus x means the value first is updated. So value from 6 is updated to 7 and then it is printed. Then plus plus y means the value is updated. So the value of y gets to be 6 and then it is printed. Cout y means the value 6 is printed but it is updated to 7. Let's see the output. Okay, one second. There is an error. So if we do not actually follow the rules, there will be error. See, the output is 5. 5766. Are you clear how you got the output 5766? Is there any doubt? I know I'm going a bit fast, but is there any doubt? Should I slow down or anything? Okay, I hope I'm okay. Next question. We are done with this. Okay, let's check. Let's learn how to make expressions. So if I have to check, I told for checking conditions, so this question, we are learning how to make conditions, right? So check if the mark is in the range of 80 and 90. So how do we check actually? So for actually checking, mark is actually between the range 80 and 90. We have to write mark greater than or equal to 80. There are two conditions. And what if the condition should only be true if both the statements should be true, right? And we have to use the and operator. Why did I use the and operator? I'll come back to it. Mark less than or equal to 90. This means the and operator, the answer should, if I enter the mark to be 91. Okay, if I enter the mark to be 91. The statement 1, mark greater than or equal to 80 is true. Because the mark 91, if I enter 91, 90, that statement is correct. But mark less than or equal to 90, that statement becomes false. The question demands the mark should be in the range between 80 and 90. So what should the output? The mark that I entered is not correct. Therefore, since we need both the condition, that is mark should be greater than or equal to 80 and the mark should be less than or equal to 90, both that expression should be correct and both that expression should result a value 1 and then only the mark that we entered is correct. That is why we use AND operator. Is it clear why we used AND operator? Because both the expression, that is both the conditions should be satisfied, then only the mark that I entered will be correct. Otherwise, the mark that I entered will be wrong. Now, the next question is to know if x is even. So, can anyone tell me how to know, how to actually find if a number is even? How do you find if a number is even? Can anyone write? Just tell me the simple logic between how to find a number is even. Yeah, it is divisible by 2. So divisible by 2 means to check if a number is divisible by 2, we check for the remainder, right? That is, if the number is x, if the number that I entered is x, if I write x mod 2 equal to 0, what does it mean? I'm checking if the expression x mod 2, that is if the percentage of the number, that if I divide the number by 2, if I get the remainder as 0, and I'm checking it with 0, that means this statement x percentage 2 gives me an answer. It can be 0, it cannot be 0. And if that answer I'm comparing with what the condition to be even means what? That should be 0, right? So I'm comparing, I'm checking it with 0. So this is how we actually check. If a number is even, this is what the statement that you have to write. Now, if the number is odd, so to check if the number is odd, how am I supposed to do that? The same program, x mod 2, it should not be equal to what? 0, right? If it is equal to 0, the arithmetic operation of x mod 2 is equal to 0, it means what? We have to use double equal to, not single equal to. It is double equal to 0, it means what? The number is even. And if x mod 2 not equal to 0, not equal to 0 means what? That means the number is odd. Is this clear? That is what we did here. It can be equal to 1 or it not equal to 0 is fine. Then if you have to assign a grade as A or assign a grade as B, that is you are assigning, that is to a variable you are assigning a value. That I told you it should be done. For integer we studied, we wrote int x A is equal to 10, right? This means A is to A we are assigning the value 10. Here, since grade is a character variable, what is grade? Grade is actually stores A, B, C, D. So grade comes under what? What data type? It is character data type. What is grade? Grade is a character data type. Why is grade a character data type? Because grade is going to store alphabets or numbers. It can be alphabets or characters, that is any characters. But grade is going to store alphabets. So to store alphabets, we need grade, the variable grade, to be of which data type? Character data type. And for character data type, I told it can be of any characters enclosed in single quotes, right? That is what we are doing here. We are assigning grade as equal to A, but it is enclosed in single quotes. That is important. Now, so we are checking if a grade. So this is a difference. Here, to grade A, we are assigning. That is to grade, we are assigning A, right? To the variable grade, we are assigning A. This is done by grade is equal to A in single quotes. Now, if you have to check if the grade is D, how am I supposed to do? I am to check grade double equal to D. That is the difference between a single equal to and a double equal to. Now, if we have to check if CH is an uppercase character. How am I supposed to check if CH is an uppercase character? CH is a variable, it has a value that I stored. For example, if I am actually writing character CH is equal to capital A. Now we know the CH is an uppercase character, but I want to check if the CH is an uppercase character. I'm using an if statement. If statement is used for checking condition. So I'm going to teach what an if is next. Character CH greater than or equal to, what we can write? We can write capital A and. Why am I writing and again? Because it has to be between this character for an uppercase alphabets are between A to Z, capital A to Z, right? So if the character that I entered should be between A and Z, that means it should satisfy both the condition, right? And CH less than or equal to capital Z. If this is true, I'll print C out. What? What should I print? Upper case. Let's see. This is not double quotes, it's single quotes. Sorry. Okay. I got uppercase. Now, if I actually give this CH value, the character value, small letter A, let's see if this gets printed. See, there is no output because this statement is false, right? This statement is false. Now, one way of actually checking is by using the characters A and Z. The other way is using the ASCII value 65 and 90. That is another way of using. That is another way of using checking because A corresponds to 65 and 90 is corresponding to Z. So that is another way of doing it. Now we have to check if grade is D. How do you check if grade is D? Grade double equal to D in single quotes, but D is a character and mark is less than or equal to 90. So here the statement itself indicates it is OR. So what do? We actually use the OR operator. Why are we using the OR operator? Because we have to check if grade is D or if the mark is less than 90. That means any one of the condition is true is enough. Both the condition, it's not needed both the conditions to be true. Just any one of the conditions is needed to be true. That is grade double equal to D or mark less than or equal to 90. Now I told before of math.h header file. These are the functions available in math.h header file. Or if we write, that is if we include a math.h in our program, we actually get all these header files. We can use all these functions. This pow x comma y, that is used to find the square root or the nth power of a number. Not square root, the square or the nth power of a number. Square root of x. Square root of x means we find the square root of the number. So if int a, write in the program, int a is equal to 49. If I write say out, I write s is equal to sqrt of a. And then if I print cout a, cout s, what is s's value? The value of s is 7 because 49 square root is 7. So like that we can find the log of a number by using log x, exponent of a number by using exponent x, sign of a number by using sign x, absolute value of x. So everything is possible. Next we are going to study about if-else statements. If-else statements are selection statements. So statements are evaluated and executed based on a condition. So if you have to execute that, if a condition is true, you have to execute a set of statements. If the condition is false, you have to execute another set of statements. That is known as selection statements. So what is selection statement? It is executed. That is a flow of control of what happens next is based on a condition. If it is true, a set of statements gets executed. If it is false, another set of statements gets executed. That is if statement. For example, if you have to find if you enter two numbers and to find which two numbers are great. So you have to find which are the greater numbers. So if I'm entering int a comma b, then I have to enter two numbers, right? Cout, you have to tell the user to enter the number. So enter the two number. Semicolon is must. C in A, comma, A and B. So you're actually inputting the two numbers. Now I'm actually asking if A is greater than B, I have to print C out. A is greater than B. Okay. So what does if condition do? If condition means it's actually used for checking a condition. If that condition is true, a set of statements is executed. If the condition is false, another set of statements get executed. Next is what? If A is greater than B, then I can check also what if B is greater than A. Then I have to print C out. B is greater than A. I'm asking this statement. So if it's the syntax of if statement is if we have a function bracket and inside the function bracket we have a condition. It can be A greater than B. It can be any condition. That I actually explained many conditions. I told you to write expressions, right? To grade is equal to D, to check if mark is less than 90. It can be of any one of those expressions. And then we write a statement below this if expression. So there is this if statement, and below this if statement, we have an expression or we have a statement. This statement C out A, C out A, this statement C out A is greater than B only gets executed or is only displayed if this first if case is true. Is that clear? If this if statement, the result of this if statement is what? That is, if A is greater than B, then and then only we will execute the statement C out A is greater than B. Otherwise, this statement won't be printed. I'll show you an example. So I'm entering two numbers 4 and 6. Here, 4 is not greater than 6, right? So this statement is not being executed. But what gets executed? We know the second if condition we have B is greater than A. Here 6 is greater than A. So this statement C out B is greater than A gets executed. And here B is not in double quotes. So B is actually replaced by the value, not B. So let's see. See, 6 is greater than 4 is printed. If I want to run this statement again, I'm actually 10 and 5. We get 10 is greater than B. So which statement is getting executed? This actually gets executed. I'll show it in a very simple form without writing the second statement. Two numbers 10 and 5. This statement is getting executed. Running the program, I'm giving A value less a smaller value and B a greater value. See, no statement is executed. The statement C out isn't executed. Now, usually it is if and then we put a curly braces. We put the C out statement within a curly braces. But it is only necessary if there are more than one statement. That is, if I write C out A is greater than B and C out anything else, if I'm printing any other statement, then and then only we have to put the curly braces. For single statement, it is not necessary to put curly braces. If we have more than two statements, then it is necessary to put curly braces. That is if statement. Here to find the greatest of two numbers, what we're doing? C out. If A greater than B, we get C out A is greater. If B greater than A, we find C out B is greater. Now, that is Again, we put the cout statement. This body is actually if condition. The syntax is if condition. We have statements. If there are more than one statement, if more than one thing is being happened in that statement, or in that statement, if you're printing more than once, or if you're doing another expression or any other operations, more than one statement is present, then we use curly braces. Otherwise, we don't use curly braces. Now next is if-else statement. If-else statement is actually a modification of if statement itself. Here we wrote if A greater than B, we actually output cout A is greater, right? And then I check if B is greater than A. And I actually have to print cout B is greater, right? So I actually use the if statement twice, and for each if statement, I am using the condition again. But in some case, like when I take two numbers, if I find A is not greater than B, it is understood that B is greater, right? So here, instead of writing the second if statement, I can replace it with else. That means if A is greater than B, if that statement is false, that means A is not greater than B, then of course B is all greater than A, right? That is the use of else. We do not have to repeat the condition. If one statement is not true, if that above condition is not true, then we write the else statement and we write the condition for false. That is, if A is greater than B, if this condition is true, this statement cout A is greater gets executed. In the else part, what is gets executed, or what do we write is if this condition A greater than B is false. So if else, the basic sense is if there is a condition, if that condition is true, we write a statement that has to be executed below if. That is, if A greater than B condition is true, we have to print cout A is greater. But on the other hand, what if A greater than B condition is false? Then we write that portion. If A greater than B is false means what? B is the greatest element. So that has to be also displayed, right? That is displayed in the else portion. So basic sense, if the condition is true, what all true things that has to happen? What statement should be displayed, or what expression should take place? The condition is true, gets executed or gets written in the code under the if statement. That is here, under the if statement. And if this condition A greater than B is false, what has to be executed or written gets written under, we write that statements under the else part. It's the same thing. What the program is remains the same. I'll show you. And the two numbers 10 and 5. 10 is greater. That is the if part is executed. If I reverse, as if I put A as a smaller number, the else part gets executed. I hope this is clear. For example, if you have to check a number is even or odd, I told we just have to find it divisible by 2. So if we are writing the number n, same n means what the user is giving a value to n. When you're checking if n percentage 2 double equal to 0, that means what? N is even. Else what we are writing, n is odd. For example, let's do this. Input a number and check if it is divisible by 4 and 9. Here we have to use logical AND operator because the number that we input should be divisible by both 4 and 9, not by 1, should be divisible by 4, both. So we are writing the number A. C in A, enter the number, and then we have to input the number. Then we have to write if A mod 4 equal to 0, that means we're checking the number is divisible by 4, and A mod 9 equal to 0. Sorry, A mod 9 equal to 0. Now what if this statement is true? That is, A percentage A mod 4 is equal to 0 and A mod 9 is equal to 0. That means what? The number A is divisible. Right? Is divisible. That is what the statement is. But what is the else condition? The else condition is false. What we write the statement under if the condition is true, and we write the statements under else if the condition is false. So if a percentage 4 is not equal to 0 and a percentage 9 is not equal to 0, any one of the statement comes out false. What should be the statement be? That is not divisible, right? Let's run the program. If I enter a number 56, I get not divisible. That is the use of if and else. Under if we write if the condition is false, what all statement should be executed. And under else if we write what all statement should be executed if the condition is false. Next we have an if else statement. If else if statement. That is if else. Okay, that means if we have to find conditions for, like, there are many checking conditions, many of conditions. That is, you can check if A greater than B. Then we actually execute some statement, see out some statement. Okay. See out statement. Some statements are being executed. The next condition I have to check if else if. Else if A is greater than C. Sorry, A is greater than C. Then below that, another set of statements get executed. See out, another statement gets printed. So here we use if else if statements. If there are more than one condition, we have to check. So if we have to check if A greater than B, then we can see out A is greater. Then we have to again check. We can use an if statement, but it's more easy to use else if statements. That is, if this condition is false, what happens? Else if condition is checked. And if else if is false, what happens? We have an else statement. It actually works in a sequential manner. That is, first, if statement is checked. If A greater than B is checked. If A is not greater than B, then we check for else if. And then at last, we would have an else statement if all the conditions is false. If else if, there's a sequential manner. First is if is checked. If statement is true, okay, fine. Then we check for else if. If else if statement is not true, then we go for else. It actually works in a sequential manner. So let's write a program. So if I'm writing, if there are two numbers, A, comma, I'm giving two values, A is equal to 10, B is equal to 15, and C is equal to 20. Writing if A greater than B. I'm writing C out. What? A is greater. Right? Then I'm writing an if else if condition, else if B greater than C. From output, I am writing C out. C is smaller. Now, if these two, and this is not a code that makes sense or anything, I'm just writing to just show the how this else if works. Else statement, C out. Let's write okay. Okay, is greater than, let's put than C. And here let's put A. So then we can write A is C is smaller than A. Here we can write C is smallest. Let's see. See, we get 20 is the smallest. Why did we happen? because the first statement A is greater than B. 10 is 10 greater than 15? No, that statement is false. So that does not get executed. Then 10 greater than C, 20. That does not execute. Then the last statement else portion is executed. So first we check if, and then we check for else if, and if that is not executed, here we get this. So let's reverse this. A less than B and A less than C. So let's see what all statements which get executed. 10 greater than 15 is executed. That is the first statement gets executed. That is, if else if is actually sequential order. That is, if statement is correct, then both else if and else won't get executed. But if statement is wrong, then else if gets executed. But if else if is also wrong, then else gets executed. In a program, you can have n number of else if statements. You can only have one if statement, n number of else if statements, and then one else statement. So that is all for today's class. Is there any doubt? Tomorrow we will be doing with loops and then arrays. So is there any doubt?
ഇതാർക്കെങ്കിലും ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പം ആയിക്കോണെങ്കിൽ ചോദിക്കാട്ടോ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചാറ്റ് ബോക്സിൽ ഇടണേ.
Is the speed okay with all? Am I going too fast? Okay, so I think Rajat has a quiz prepared for you guys. Rajat?
One sec.
Yeah, I will take it from here. Okay, sir. Okay, guys. So I hope everybody is clear with what we have learned today. In that case, how about we test what we have learned? Are you guys ready? I know you are. For that, let's have a quiz. First of all, hear the instructions very clearly, okay? We are going to give you 10 multiple choice questions regarding what you have learned in today's session. You will have 15 seconds to answer each question. The form to submit your answers will be there in the chat box. As soon as I read out a question from the screen, you should start submitting the answer for it. So I believe my instructions are clear. Do anyone have any doubts? If no, go to the form provided in the chat box, fill your details and get ready. We will begin the quiz in a minute.
ആ ചാറ്റ് ബോക്സിലുള്ള ക്വിസ് ലിങ്ക് ഒന്ന് എടുത്തിട്ട് ജസ്റ്റ് ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് യെസ് ഇടണേ.
എല്ലാവരും ഫോമിൽ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് ഫിൽ ചെയ്തോ? 3 പേരെ റെസ്പോണ്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളൂ. So I hope everyone is ready. So let's have our first question. What command do you use output data to the screen in C++? And these are your options. And your time starts now. Okay, guys, time up. Let's move to the next question. A data type that holds a single letter or number. Do fill out your answers fast. Okay, let's move to the next question. A short section of code written to complete a task. Have a clear look at the options, guys. Okay, next question, please. What does this equation mean? Okay, next question. What is the output of the below code snippet? Okay, let's move on. Next question, please. What is the only thing that computers understand? Quite an easy one. Okay, let's move on. Next question. Before a computer can understand a program, it must be dash. Okay, let's move on. What is the output of the below program? Okay, let's move on. Next one, please. Okay, that's it, guys. Time up. Time up. I hope all of you have submitted the answers. We'll be announcing the top scorers later, so stay tuned. With that, we can wrap today's session. Thank you, Arun. Thanks a lot for being with us today. We really enjoyed your presence, and thank you guys for joining with us. The feedback form for today's session is provided in the chat box. Do fill it out. We will be back tomorrow for our day 2 at this same time. So stay tuned. So till then, thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.